Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're headed straight into Silicon Valley.
Oh, kidding.
Yeah, you guys sent us some really interesting stuff for this deep dive.
Let's hear it.
A Deloitte report all about how big companies are trying to, figure out the whole Silicon Valley innovation thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then an article from Innovation in Tech Today highlighting some of the big names and how they're actually impacting the world.
So we've got like a blueprint and some real world.
Exactly. And we're going to put it all together and figure out what makes this place tick.
Sounds fun.
Why it matters to you.
Yeah.
And maybe even uncover some surprises along the way.
Love it.
Right. So let's start with the obvious question.
Okay.
What makes Silicon Valley more than just a place on the map?
Right. It's not just palm trees and, fancy lattes.
Right.
Silicon Valley. It's an ecosystem. Think of it like a coral reef.
Oh, wow.
All these different organisms, companies, all interacting in this complex way.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. You've got these massive tech giants. Stanford, Berkeley, right, doing cutting-edge research.
And then you've got venture capitalists practically throwing money at people.
Yeah, if they have a good idea.
Yeah. Deloitte calls it this, special blend of ingredients, a recipe for innovation.
Mm-hmm.
But they make it very clear just showing up in Silicon Valley doesn't automatically make you an innovator.
No, it's like trying to learn to surf just by, standing on the beach.
Right.
You have to actually dive in, get in those waves, feel that energy, embrace the risk.
That risk-taking.
Yeah.
And speaking of risk, Deloitte's report actually reveals that companies worldwide are practically tripping over themselves to get in on the action.
It's a frenzy.
It is.
Right.
What's the big draw?
Traditional businesses are feeling the heat.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing their industries disrupted left and right.
Oh, yeah.
And playing it safe is not an option anymore.
Right.
They have to innovate.
Right.
And they got to do it fast.
Yeah, it's like a gold rush.
It is.
But instead of gold,
Mm-hmm.
it's like disruptive tech and fresh ideas.
Exactly. But as Deloitte points out, so many companies, they struggle to adapt to that unique Silicon Valley rhythm. It's not just about relocating.
Right.
It's about transforming your mindset.
Yeah.
And really embracing a whole new way of doing things.
So how do these big companies tap into that innovation ecosystem?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
Well, Deloitte outlines a few common approaches.
Okay, let's hear it.
One is forming strategic alliances.
Okay.
Think about it like joint ventures, licensing agreements, even co-creating new technologies with existing players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about leveraging each other's strengths.
Like a corporate power couple.
Exactly. You get the best of both worlds.
Right.
And then you have corporate accelerators.
Okay.
It's like a boot camp for startups.
Uh-huh.
Big companies come in, provide mentorship resources and even funding to help these promising companies get off the ground.
Like a farm league.
Yeah.
For innovation.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's corporate venture capital.
CVC funds?
Yep, big companies investing directly in these startups.
Hoping to hit the jackpot.
Get in on the ground floor of something huge.
The next big thing.
Exactly. And sometimes the most direct route.
Yeah.
The good old-fashioned acquisition.
Ah, yes. If you can't beat them, buy them.
Exactly. Deloitte dives into these fascinating case studies of companies that have actually used these approaches.
Oh, yeah. Give us an example.
Okay, so take GE, for example. This massive industrial company.
Yeah.
They realized they needed to shake things up.
Did they move their whole headquarters to Silicon Valley?
No, not quite.
Okay.
But they created this billion-dollar startup within the company.
Wow.
Called the Silicon Valley Software Center.
Uh-huh.
And they focused it on this thing called the industrial internet.
Okay.
And they really embraced the Silicon Valley style. Super rapid, agile development.
That's a big shift for a company like GE.
It was a huge cultural shift.
Right.
But it paid off. They realized to compete in, the 21st century, they needed to be more like a nimble startup than a, lumbering giant.
I love that.
Right.
Okay, so let's switch gears.
Okay.
Talk about BMW.
Right.
Deloitte's report highlights how they've been using their Silicon Valley presence to transform themselves.
Yeah. BMW realized the future of transportation.
Yeah.
It's not just about building cars.
Right.
It's about creating a whole ecosystem of mobility solutions.
So they're not just thinking about horsepower.
Right.
They're thinking about the bigger picture of how people move around the world.
Exactly. They've invested heavily in electric vehicles, ride-sharing services. They even have their own venture capital fund focused on all things transportation.
So it's not just about winning the car race.
Right.
It's about redefining the entire game.
Exactly. It's about understanding that the future of any industry, it's rarely a straight line.
Yeah.
You got to adapt to those new trends and embrace the disruption.
Now let's kind of zoom out for a second and look at how Silicon Valley tech is impacting our everyday lives right now.
Yeah.
That Innovation and Tech Today article highlights some really concrete examples.
It does take healthcare, for instance.
Okay.
You've got fitness trackers monitoring every step we take, telemedicine apps that let us talk to our doctors from our couch.
It's like having a doctor in your pocket.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's all thanks to, these Silicon Valley innovations.
So Silicon Valley's changing how we manage our health and well-being.
Absolutely. And then there's transportation.
Okay.
Companies like Tesla, Waymo, they're developing self-driving cars.
Yeah.
That could revolutionize how we get around.
Fewer accidents, less traffic.
And greater access to transportation for everyone.
It sounds like science fiction.
It does, but it's becoming a reality.
And even something as simple as entertainment has been transformed by Silicon Valley.
Think about it.
Like Netflix.
Yeah.
Using all those algorithms to personalize our viewing experience.
Recommending shows we're actually going to enjoy.
Like having a personal entertainment concierge.
Exactly.
Right. It's amazing. But like with anything this powerful, there are also challenges.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Potential downsides.
Yeah.
Deloitte's report digs into some of these.
They do. One of the biggest is the competition for talent.
Oh, yeah.
The demand for skilled engineers and developers is so high. It's a global talent war.
Wow.
Driving up salaries, making it incredibly difficult for companies to attract and keep top people.
It's a high-stakes game.
It is.
Of talent chess.
For sure. And for companies coming from outside the U.S.,
Yeah.
navigating the legal and regulatory landscape can be a real headache.
It's complicated.
Yeah, lots of hurdles to overcome.
So it's not just about having a great idea.
Right.
It's about understanding the rules of the game.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And despite all of these challenges, Deloitte ultimately argues that Silicon Valley's unique approach to innovation is a key to its success. Companies like Apple and Facebook, they've thrived by building platforms that encourage both collaboration and competition.
It's a delicate balance.
It is. But they've managed to create these environments where innovation flourishes.
So they get that innovation isn't a solo sport.
Right.
It's a team effort.
Exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground today exploring how Silicon Valley functions as this unique ecosystem.
For sure.
How companies are trying to tap into that magic and how its technology is already shaping our lives.
It's a complex and constantly evolving landscape.
It is.
But understanding its dynamics is crucial for anyone who wants to navigate the future.
Right. So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll dig into some specific takeaways and action steps you can apply in your own life and work.
I'm ready for it. It's crazy how this relatively small area can have such a huge impact globally, right?
It really is. Like Silicon Valley is the epicenter of a tech earthquake, sending those tremors out to every industry.
I love that analogy. Right.
But it's true. Those ripples, they're felt everywhere.
They are. So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What does all this mean for you, the listener?
That's the big question, right?
Well, whether you're a seasoned executive at a Fortune 500, a budding entrepreneur with a killer idea, or just someone trying to keep up with, the crazy speed of tech change.
Right.
Understanding Silicon Valley is not optional anymore.
No, it's essential.
Essential.
It's a glimpse into the forces that are shaping our collective future.
Totally. And it's not just about the specific technologies, right?
No.
It's about the mindset, the culture.
Yeah.
The willingness to experiment and, take risks.
That permeates the very air you breathe in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. So you're saying failure is part of the recipe?
It is, absolutely. Think of it as learning tuition.
Okay.
In Silicon Valley, failure isn't this bad thing.
Right.
It's seen as valuable data on the path to success.
It's like that saying, right?
Yeah.
Fail fast, fail often. Exactly. The faster you learn what doesn't work, the faster you can, iterate and figure out what does work.
So how can companies outside of Silicon Valley create that same kind of energy?
Well, it starts with leadership.
Okay.
Leaders need to set the tone and empower their teams to experiment and be willing to embrace change even when it feels uncomfortable.
So leading by example.
Right.
Creating a culture where people aren't afraid to push the limits.
Absolutely. And another crucial insight from Deloitte's report is the emphasis on ecosystems.
Okay.
It's not just about companies competing against each other, in this like zero-sum game.
Right.
It's about creating these interconnected networks of collaboration.
So it's not about building walls.
No.
It's about building bridges.
Exactly. The most successful companies in Silicon Valley, they get that they can't do it alone.
Right.
They need to build those platforms and partnerships that allow others to contribute to innovate.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, think about Apple's App Store.
Yeah.
It's a platform that has created a whole ecosystem of developers and businesses generating billions of dollars.
Wow.
Not just for Apple, but for countless other companies.
Right.
It's a win-win.
It's like a digital marketplace
where
everyone benefits.
Exactly. And we're seeing this ecosystem approach play out in other industries as well.
Like where?
The automotive industry.
Okay.
It's no longer just about car manufacturers.
Right.
It's about mobility providers, tech companies, charging infrastructure, data analytics.
Right.
It's this complex web.
So the lines between traditional industries are blurring.
They are.
And companies are having to adapt.
Absolutely.
To this new, more fluid reality.
And the same goes for financial services.
Yeah.
Banks, they can't afford to ignore this fintech revolution.
Right.
They need to collaborate with these startups and integrate those innovations.
Embrace new ways of doing business.
Exactly.
Sounds like the future belongs to the adapters.
It does.
Right. Those who can collaborate and thrive.
Yeah, within these dynamic ecosystems.
Okay. Deloitte's report also talks about taking a long-term view when it comes to innovation.
Right.
It's not about chasing those fads or trying to get rich quick.
It's about having a vision for the future and making those strategic investments that will pay off over time.
Like, give me some examples. I love an underdog story.
Okay, take Google, for example.
Yeah.
They started as a simple search engine.
Right.
But they had this audacity to believe that they could organize all the world's information.
And now they're everywhere.
Right. They're a global powerhouse.
What about Tesla?
Oh, yeah, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He was ridiculed for years for his vision of electric cars.
And now Tesla
is one of the most valuable car companies in the world.
It's crazy.
It is pushing the whole industry towards a more sustainable future.
So the lesson here, real innovation takes patience, persistence,
and a healthy dose of audacity.
Don't be afraid to challenge that status quo.
Absolutely.
Even if it means facing resistance.
Or setbacks.
Right.
Embrace those setbacks as learning opportunities.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype and glamour of Silicon Valley.
Oh, for sure. All those billion-dollar valuations.
Yeah.
The larger-than-life personalities.
But at its core, Silicon Valley is about people.
It is.
It's about brilliant minds coming together to solve problems and create something new.
And that's what makes it so inspiring.
It is. Yeah. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the limitless potential of technology to shape our world.
It really is. But, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
As technology becomes more pervasive, more powerful, we need to be mindful of its ethical implications.
For sure.
And make sure it's used to benefit humanity as a whole.
So using technology to solve problems, create opportunities, make the world a better place.
And that's where thoughtful leadership comes in.
Okay.
We need leaders who get the power of technology, but also its potential downsides.
Right. So leaders who are willing to ask tough questions.
Absolutely.
They prioritize people over profits.
Because ultimately, technology is a tool.
It is.
It's up to us to decide how we use it.
To shape our future.
Okay, so as we move toward the final part of our deep dive into Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Silicon Valley is often seen as the future, but the truth is the future is being shaped everywhere.
It's true.
In countless labs, garages, classrooms all over the world.
So innovation isn't confined to one location.
No, it's happening all around us all the time.
So what role will you play in shaping that future?
Yeah, what problems are you passionate about solving?
What impact do you want to make?
Because the future, it's not something that happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create together.
I love that.
So go out there, embrace your curiosity, challenge the status quo, and never stop innovating. Now let's wrap up our deep dive into the Silicon Valley ecosystem with some concrete takeaways.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the Silicon Valley ecosystem.
Yeah.
We've got all these thought-provoking materials that you guys sent us. We've explored how this place functions as a unique engine for innovation.
Right.
We've seen how companies are trying to, tap into that energy.
Yeah.
And how Silicon Valley tech is already shaping your world.
So now we get to connect the dots.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure out what it all means.
Yeah, we don't want this to just be like a, fascinating tour of Silicon Valley.
Right.
We want you to walk away
Yeah.
with some actionable insights.
Let's distill it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So takeaway number 1,
Okay.
Innovation's not just about technology.
Yeah.
It's about people.
It's about culture.
Culture.
A mindset that embraces experimentation.
Right.
Welcomes new ideas.
So you don't need like a ping pong table and beanbag chairs to have that environment.
You don't need to be in Silicon Valley
Right.
or even in a tech company
Yeah.
to be innovative.
So it starts with empowering your team,
Yes.
encouraging them to, challenge assumptions and viewing failure as a learning opportunity.
Not a career killer.
Exactly. So it's about creating a culture where people feel safe to, take risks.
Yeah.
Even if those risks sometimes lead to faceplants.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to look beyond your own industry.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, for inspiration.
Okay.
One of the things that makes Silicon Valley so dynamic is that cross-pollination of ideas from different fields.
Okay.
Sometimes the most groundbreaking innovations come from applying, concepts from one industry to a completely different one.
So borrow liberally.
Yeah,
Adapt ruthlessly.
exactly. And that brings us to our second takeaway. Ecosystems are the future.
Okay.
No company can succeed in isolation anymore.
Right.
You got to be part of a network,
Yeah.
collaborating with partners, leveraging shared resources, tapping into collective intelligence.
It's about understanding that the future belongs to those who can build and participate
Yeah,
in these vibrant ecosystems.
precisely.
Right.
Think about, would Apple be as successful without its App Store ecosystem?
That's a good point.
Or would Tesla have the same impact without a network of charging stations and partnerships?
That's true.
Right.
So how can companies and, individuals start building these kinds of ecosystems?
We'll start by identifying potential partners,
Okay.
exploring opportunities for collaboration, being willing to share your knowledge and expertise.
So moving from a mindset of competition to
Yeah.
a mindset of co-opetition.
Yeah, exactly. Collaborating to achieve something much bigger than any one player could accomplish on their own.
Okay. Takeaway number 3.
Right.
Innovation is a long game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You can't just, snap your fingers and expect disruptive breakthroughs.
No, it takes time.
Right.
It's about having a vision for the future.
Making those strategic investments that will pay off over time. Think about companies like Google and Amazon.
Okay.
They've consistently invested in these, seemingly crazy ideas,
Right.
self-driving cars, drone delivery,
Okay.
and those investments, they're starting to pay off.
Right. It's a reminder that patience, persistence, and a willingness to think big
Yeah,
are essential for real innovation.
absolutely. But those long-term bets, they don't always work out, do they?
That's true. What about all the companies that tried to, copy Silicon Valley and failed?
That's where our fourth takeaway comes in, understanding the nuances of the Silicon Valley model.
Okay.
Simply copying the, superficial stuff.
Right.
The open office spaces, the foosball tables, the casual dress code.
Yeah.
That won't magically transform your company into an innovation powerhouse.
So it's not about the perks.
Yeah.
It's about the principles.
Exactly. Embracing that culture of experimentation, rapid iteration, data-driven decision-making, and a relentless focus on solving real problems.
So understanding that innovation is a process,
Yeah.
not a destination.
Right. And as technology becomes, more embedded in our lives, we can't ignore the ethical considerations.
That's true. Silicon Valley's had its share of controversies.
Oh, yeah. From data privacy scandals to concerns about algorithmic bias.
So takeaway number 5,
Okay?
ethical and responsible innovation.
Absolutely.
As you embrace new technologies, ask yourself the tough questions.
Yeah.
How will this impact people's lives? Are there any unintended consequences?
Are we building systems that are fair, inclusive, and benefit society as a whole?
Right. So technology is a tool,
It is.
and it can be used for good or for ill,
We have to make sure we're using it to build a better future.
not just a more profitable one.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Silicon Valley, I hope you've gained a deeper appreciation for, the forces that drive innovation
Yeah.
and how they're shaping your world.
The future is not predetermined.
No.
It's being created right now,
By people like you,
right?
who are willing to challenge the status quo,
Yeah.
embrace new ideas, use their talents to make a difference.
So go out there, stay curious, keep learning, and never stop innovating.
That's it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Silicon Valley.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible